morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our studio in sunny downtown Waukesha, Wisconsin. You can always join us. Call or text. It's the same number, 855-752-4842. Or if you're watching on the live stream, leave a comment there on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Of course, our Go for the Green and Gold statewide text to win contest continues next hour. Right after the 11 o'clock news, we will have the keyword of the hour. And you want to go to your phone, bring up the Civic Media app. If you have not downloaded the app yet, you should.
Yes.
It's absolutely free. Download the app next hour. Make sure you have the app next hour. And then you can text the keyword that we will give you, giving you a chance to pick up either $100 in cash or some gold jewelry.
Ooh.
I know. And everyone in the running for a pair of indoor club level tickets to see the Green and Gold in Green Bay, Monday, December 23rd against New Orleans. We play this contest every day and it ends on Friday, 7, 11, 1, and 4 o'clock. So the keyword of the hour for our Go for the Green or Gold statewide text to win contest coming up for you after the 11 o'clock news. Very, very busy show for you today. Political consultant Joe Zepecki is going to be joining us at 10:33 to talk about Care Force One. This is a bus tour that's going on in support of the Biden-Harris administration's healthcare agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have more than a concept of a plan.
Good.
Yeah, that's always good. And Joe Zepecki at 10:33. Dr. Kristin Lyerly is going to pinch hit for Dr. Hanks for a public cervix announcement next hour. Dr. Lyerly, of course, is a candidate for the 8th Congressional District. But we're going to be talking about some big news, especially related to women's health. So I encourage you to stick around for that. Wanted to kick off, though, with something a little closer to home.
How close?
In Wausau.
Oh.
Wausau's relatively new mayor, Doug Denny.
Denny,
thank you for correcting me. Mr. Denny removed the city clerk's office drop box on Sunday evening from its regular spot outside of City Hall and took it into the building.
Oh.
The move has drawn immediate questions from the city council president and also spurred a small protest Tuesday evening outside of City Hall. The mayor defends his actions. He said the box was unsecured on Sunday and he was just moving it to safety because he was afraid someone was going to grab it and throw it in the river. Which I could see that some goofball doing that. I actually could. But
So, Jane, I worked in city government for many years, and there's something. It's long held. It's maligned sometimes, but it's called a process. If the mayor was so desperately afraid of pranksters, tricksters, and or people trying to steal the election, he should have addressed it in front of the city council and said, hey, everybody, I'm the mayor, and here are my thoughts on this. Can we do something to secure this? Can we put some cameras up, maybe?
There are cameras there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not good enough. Can we just bring it inside? Maybe have someone in the grounds department do that for us. What do you guys think? Let's have a chat and talk about this.
But it was Sunday.
You're right. City Hall's closed. No one's around.
You can't contact anyone on a Sunday.
Yeah. And I mean, it just so happened that he was wearing a hard hat. It just so happened he was wearing a city jacket.
And had access to a little dolly.
And had access to a dolly. And there was a camera there taking video of it. I mean, it's like he almost did this as a performative stunt.
Because there are pictures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That all happened to be there.
Obviously.
Happenstance.
Complete happenstance. The drop box was removed from its regular spot in April to have the locks repaired. It wasn't able to get done in time for the August partisan primary election. The city-owned drop box was returned at an unknown time to its regular location on the north side of City Hall in Wausau before Mayor Denny discovered it Sunday and took it into the building. Quote, I was in the office on Sunday doing a little work here, and I was walking out the front, and I realized the ballot drop box was not bolted down, so it was unsecured. So I went and got a dolly, and I wheeled it in. The Wisconsin Supreme Court's July decision returned the right for Wisconsin municipal clerks to utilize drop boxes to collect absentee ballots. The Wisconsin Elections Commission issued guidance on that and said the municipal clerk has the authority to designate drop box locations.
Yes, and the city attorney said, don't do this.
But he's the mayor.
I mean,
and he didn't want it to get thrown in the river.
Troy from Mount Horeb said perfectly on the text line. He's listening to WAUK right now. He said the drop box was so insecure that we saw him moving it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and there are cameras on that spot.
Cameras on the spot. It's as safe as safe. I mean, honestly, you want to bolt it to the ground, fine. Bolt it to the ground.
And I'm sure most are bolted to the ground or concreted into the ground. Something.
Yeah. But this is not, folks, this isn't like a little, this isn't a little bit, this is a...
This isn't a shoebox size box.
This isn't even like a mailbox, what you're thinking. Like, if you go to like find a standalone UPS box, that's what it looks like. It's big, it's gigantic, it's got I'm looking at a lock on it right now. And like we said, it's got cameras on there, on the box, so you can see who's going towards it or doing any sort of shenanigans. So far, the only shenanigans we've picked up on the cameras is Mayor Denny moving it into the building.
In the story that I'm reading from the Wausau Daily Herald, and this is from reporter Eric Fans, I'm not seeing that there are issues now about the box. I assume it is back where it belongs after he took it inside the building on Sunday and has since been secured.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
But it's got to be outside the building. It has to be outside the building.
That's so people can access it.
Yeah, exactly. It's about accessing your vote, not suppressing or intimidating or making it so that people can't vote. I mean, put him on the list. Mayor Denny, Glenn Grothman, Mike Johnson, the sheriff of Dodge County. They all have this gut instinct, this gut feeling, this intuition
that people are stealing ballots.
Apparently that people might just steal the ballot box entirely. And by the way, let's play this game for a second. He was afraid that they're going to throw it into a river. They could have just picked it up out of the river where the ballots would be, and they could have pulled the ballots out, dried them, counted them.
How many rivers does Wausau have?
I think, well, I'll ask this question. How many rivers in Wausau have a ballot box sitting in it?
Maybe they're very deep rivers.
Exactly.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Oh boy, thanks, because that's what the devil needs is an advocate right now. But yeah, I mean, we're laughing at it, but this is another attempt at voter suppression, period.
And voter shenanigans.
Yes.
Or yeah.
It's
attempting voter suppression.
Yeah.
This goes back to, and we talked about it when it happened, the Dodge County Republican sheriff pressed 3 municipal clerks a couple of months ago not to use absentee ballot drop boxes, warning it could create the appearance of fraud and degrade trust in the system. Sheriff Dale Schmidt denied he was pressuring the clerks in Ashippun, Hustisford, and Beaver Dam when he expressed serious concerns after he found out they were going to use drop boxes for the election cycle. Schmidt said in a phone interview he was just seeking to ensure they're following best practices. Mm-hmm. After the state Supreme Court in July allowed their usage, all 3 clerks have decided against using drop boxes after their exchanges with the sheriff.
That's intimidation. I'm sorry. And this is, to me, I'm so angry about this. I'm mad about Mayor Denny. This is disappointing. This is just disappointing and a shameful thing. You talk about freedom, but you have a sheriff walking into your office telling you these things.
I think it's bad. It looks bad. It creates the perception of fraud, not creates fraud, not is fraudulent.
Or here's all my proof showing there's fraud.
Yeah, there is none.
Exactly. So this is a sheriff using his power position and badge to go into these offices, intimidate these individuals, because who's going to stand up to that? Because then that becomes the story.
But maybe they agree with him.
Well, then there's shame on them just as much.
We do have a couple of clips just as reminders, because we know that Republicans know that voter fraud is going on. They just don't have any proof.
It's that proving part that's
details.
That's what Einstein said. He said E=mc². Also, proving is so tough.
Let's play that Mike Johnson clip, Calvin, Speaker of the House.
We all know intuitively that a lot of illegals are voting in federal elections, but it's not been something that is easily provable. We don't have that number.
No, that's because after more than 60 court cases, and here in Wisconsin, over $1 million searching for voter fraud that was never found.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't have any proof, but we know intuitively.
Who is that super liberal, granola crunchy Democrat Marxist who said that from Wisconsin who said the elections were safe and fair? Oh, Robin Voss. That's right. Robin Voss said that.
Assembly Speaker Robin Voss.
Yes. The Popcorn King himself said that even that our elections were safe and fair and fine, and that, he didn't say these things, but it was a waste of money.
Well, thank goodness Glenn Grothman.
Who is he?
One of the House members, most rumply members.
So rumpled.
Glenn Grothman has a response, not directly to Robin Voss, but just to the whole thing of voter fraud. Calvin, let's hit that clip, please.
In the 2020 election, all the recounts they did, all the going back over things, the only cheating they found was in Donald Trump's favor. They found several cases of cheating in Donald Trump's favor.
Hey, Mike, we'll get a response to what you said. Congressman Grothman.
Well, I have talked to people in Wisconsin who participated in our recount. They had felt that they found ballots that appeared to be all filled out by the same person, several ballots in a row. I talked to someone last month who claimed to be a landlord, and he said that he checked and tenants who no longer live there voted. I mean, obviously, these haven't gone through the criminal system. These people have chosen not to come forward and make their observations public.
No evidence.
But it doesn't surprise me.
Congressman,
it doesn't surprise him, though.
The way he said it, too.
There's no evidence that this happened. These people haven't come forward. But we know this happens because we know it intuitively, Greg.
Exactly.
You are listening to Matenaer On Air. Stay with us across the vast and global Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning and welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, the board lord, coming to you live from our studio in downtown Waukesha. Join us. You can call, you can text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. I'm really excited about this. One of our sister stations in Baraboo. It's 99.7 Max FM. And you can find it on the Civic Media app. You can listen to it on the Civic Media app. They're one of our music stations. Tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., 99.7 Max FM is going to host their third annual Hope House Radio Requestathon. I love this so much.
Yeah,
I do. I love this so much. So tomorrow, they're going to take requests and play songs no matter what it is. It can be a Christmas song. It can be some silly song. It can be A Boy Named Sue from Johnny Cash. It could be whatever. And they'll play it for $5. You can make a dedication for $10. You can replace someone else's song request by donating $25.
Just know every song I'd ask for would be like, nope. I'd be like,
and
but
then
everybody loves you. Everyone loves Slayer.
And this is all to raise money for Hope House, which October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to help out Hope House in the work that they do to help out victims of domestic violence. So not that I don't want you to listen to our show tomorrow, but I really think I just think this is so cool.
How about this?
What?
Tomorrow, if you're listening to the Max
99.7 FM, Max FM of Baraboo.
What's the name of it's the Hope House.
It's the third annual Hope House Radio Requestathon.
There it is. If you do that, text us and give us an update. Tell us what you requested. Tell us what you donated.
What you donated,
and tell us, like, oh, someone wanted to play, like, what's the Macarena. No offense to the Macarena people. And I paid $25. Say no Macarena here, folks. I want to get up to date. Then we can give updates like this just in from the
updates.
We're coming to you live from Waukesha with updates on money. And that'd be fun.
This is just I just think it's so much fun. Again, tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., the third annual Hope House Radio Requestathon on 99.7 Max FM. Help them raise money for Hope House. $5 donation gets you any song. They'll play any song from any genre. If you do $10, you can make a dedication. And if you hate the song and you don't want them to play it, you donate $25. That's hilarious.
I'm all for a good cause, especially for something like Hope House and
helping out victims of domestic violence. Absolutely. So we wish them a lot of luck. And again, don't forget, another reason to get the fabulous and free Civic Media app.
Fabulous and free.
Fabulous and free. You can't ask for more than that. 99.7 Max FM tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. All right. We haven't done this in a while. Do we have the open ready for this,
What's the time for?
It is time for...
More words from men.
I don't know who did the voiceover of that,
Such a good job.
My,
right?
what a rustly,
smooth,
husky. No,
Ooh, little husky.
His voice sounds fat.
More words from men. JD Vance edition.
Oh God, he's always talking.
He does talk and say things out loud. Most recently, because he's very much concerned about why we're not having more children.
Yeah, ladies.
I know we're falling down on the job.
Except you. You can't. You get your cat.
I need to be watching other people's children. Greg.
True, that's true.
I have no point in life.
You're right.
But we digress. JD Vance has an idea about why we are not having more children. Calvin, let's play that scintillating clip, please.
Some of the things that we're doing to parents is driving down the number of children that American families are having.
How?
In particular, there's evidence that the car seat rules that we've imposed, which of course I want kids to drive in car seats, have driven down the number of babies born in this country.
855-752-4842. If you're considering starting a family, adding to your family, are you not doing it because of the terrible restrictive child car seats requirements? Is that it?
I knew that you require car seats, and I think that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
But I didn't feel like it was what would they say, draconian.
It's about safety.
Yeah.
And that's why I get upset, because I see people all the time with kids in cars who are not in car seats.
Yeah. I mean,
all the time.
We were talking about this before the show. I mean, I didn't grow up with car seat regulations. My car seat, my safety was just slamming into the back of my father's seat if he hit the brakes, and the cushiony metal frame would save my life. But I don't really know of anybody in my life. I know people who hate regulation and will be like, taxes, theft, and blah, 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 but they've never said, we want to have a child, but we can't afford it because we can't want to do it because of car seats.
Is that the reason we're not having more children? Calvin, how do you feel about the burdensome car seat requirement?
Well, he said he had evidence. I guess I'd like to see that evidence. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds ridiculous.
Maybe he just knows it intuitively. That seems to be a thing.
It's another one of the situations where it's like, I've been talking to people
who tell me.
I've been hearing from people. Some people say, they're saying.
And they've told me that the reason they didn't want another kid is because apparently the child car seat they had before wasn't good now.
This brand new car seat regulation that's never been around before. It's been around for a very long time.
It has been around a long time.
Has just, I mean, before we know it, another 5-10 years of this, it's just going to be like the three of us, Bob Euchre, and maybe Cher. Because everyone's going to die out. Because the car seat regulations are just keeping people from having babies. This isn't freedom, people.
Keep talking, JD Vance.
Oh, please. More words from that.
We always need more words from you. News is coming up next. And when we return, political consultant Joe Zepecki will be here to talk healthcare and also election shenanigans, shall we say. That's all on the way. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Sweet Kelby on the board, coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha. You can always join us. You can call or text. It's the same number, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Just a reminder, right after the 11 o'clock news, our statewide text to win contest, Go for the Green or Gold, returns. We will have a keyword for you in the 11 o'clock hour. You need to text it in via the Civic Media app, and then you're in the running for either, what shall it be, $100 cash or gold jewelry. Everyone in the running for a pair of indoor club-level tickets to see the Green and Gold in Green Bay, Monday, December 23rd against New Orleans. The word of the hour coming up right after the 11 o'clock news. Very excited to have our next guest here. It's been too long. Political consultant Joe Zepecki, how are you, sir? Good to see you.
Well, there's been nothing to talk about. What could we possibly have had a conversation about regarding the news?
Absolutely nothing going on. Yeah. Not at all.
No.
I don't know if you heard right before we went to the news, we were discussing J.D. Vance's latest theory about why people aren't having children. And I know you have 2 kids.
I have not heard this latest from my nemesis, J.D.
Calvin,
Vance.
do we still have that clip ready? Let's take a listen to this clip from J.D. Vance.
Some of the things that we're doing to parents is driving down the number of children that American families are having. In particular, there's evidence that the car seat rules that we've imposed, which of course I want kids to drive in car seats, have driven down the number of babies born in this country.
When you and your wife were considering having a family, Joe, did you say, we'd have 4, but the car seat issue is just, it's too expensive?
That was not part of the discussion.
No.
Now we are very privileged and more fortunate than most that cost would not be prohibitive for us, and there are certainly families where the cost of raising children has become a barrier for some people who want to have kids or want to have more kids.
Definitely.
And that strikes me as where these conversations should begin. The Republican Party for a very long time held itself out as what they called the pro-family party. I don't see anything in their plans or Project 2025 that suggests solutions for families. And so once again, J.D. Vance, my least favorite public figure, and that's a recent development. Like, I'm even angrier about J.D. Vance these days than I am about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is going to Donald Trump. J.D. Vance knows better, and week after week, he says something asinine that just gets my goat.
Grinds your gears.
Yeah.
He's so popular. I mean,
Yes.
It's just like, JD, don't keep doing what you're doing, baby, because people just love you.
Yeah, he's standing in a pretty deep hole, and our job is to keep throwing him shovels. My favorite numbers out of the NBC News poll over the weekend was that the most popular things in American life were capitalism, Taylor Swift, and Tim Walz. And the least popular things in American life were Project 2025, socialism, and J.D. Vance.
That's an interesting group.
That's pretty wonderful, actually.
Yeah, and Project 2025 is the worst. Like, Project 2025 is sitting here going, "Hey, socialism, what's your secret? How do I get more people to like me?" Like, come on.
What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong here? And I just want to share this one text that we got from Matt from Germantown. We are planning to have kids soon, but now that you brought this up, we'll probably have to reconsider. So,
maybe get a dog instead.
J.D. Vance's message cutting through there.
Yeah, he knows better.
That's exactly what it is. It's just,
J.D. Vance knows better, and that's the part of it that is actually infuriating, right? Donald Trump, for all of his flaws and faults, it's actually like he didn't have a hand in the fact of who he was born to, right? He didn't get to choose his parents who had the financial capacity to give him somewhere between $100 million and $400 million. He did not grow up like almost every American grows up, like the people I grew up with, where mom and dad both work, and they're trying to save a little at the end of the month, and they're trying to put away a little bit for college. Like, Donald Trump does not have an ordinary lived experience. J.D. Vance does.
Yeah.
JD Vance wrote a whole dang book about growing up with people who are working poor or trying to work their way into the middle class. That is a much more ordinary tale in this country than the way that Donald Trump grew up. And that's why it's so infuriating that JD Vance has no problem doing a complete 180 on the threat that Donald Trump poses. He has no problem fabricating stories about immigrants. He has no problem selling his soul for his own personal ambition. That is very, very scary. And I just, we haven't talked, and Lord knows there's plenty to go through, but I was just really struck by some reporting by the Wall Street Journal last week about the Haitians in Springfield. They found the woman who was the genesis of this, the woman whose cat went missing, and called the police and accused her neighbors, who were recently moved here, legal immigrants from Haiti. And when she found the cat in her own basement 2 days later, she, with the help of her daughter and a Google Translate app on a mobile phone, went next door and apologized to her neighbors. And for that woman to show more grace and class in saying, like, I made a mistake and I'm sorry, I wronged my neighbors by pointing a finger at them, that makes her more qualified, frankly, to hold a position of public trust than JD Vance, who continues to lie about it, who just outright says, if I have to make up a story to get the media to pay attention to something, that he's willing to do it. That's reprehensible. I mean, it's unconscionable.
And it should be disqualifying.
Yeah.
It should.
Well, 40 days from now, we're going to disqualify him.
There you go. The question I have then for both of you and everyone listening is that, as you said, Joe, his story is so America, bootstraps, coming from nothing, becoming a successful capitalist, everything the GOP would love from start to finish, has a family, all those things. And instead of using that story as what could be the poster boy for their party, which they've been touting for decades, they have turned him into this guy who essentially has turned his back on his people, on his community, and they're like, yeah, this is even better. I don't understand. It speaks more about the GOP than JD Vance. I mean, he is gonna JD Vance, period. He's gonna keep saying what he says. But the fact that the GOP couldn't see him as the gift, instead reformed him and turned him into this, it's just like, well, it's not your dad's GOP, period.
No,
and it hasn't been.
Yeah, and I would say he's like almost the apotheosis of the complete takeover of the Republican Party by MAGA. From like on down the line, there are like this. You get candidates like Mark Robinson in North Carolina, or Herschel Walker in Georgia, or Kerry Lake in Arizona, and you get metamorphoses like JD Vance's when your party has been taken over and the rot goes all the way down. And that's now where we are. And the few holdout, like what I would say are like actual, real, true conservatives who are standing by their principles, they're the courageous ones. And we wish that courage was in greater supply. But when you look at Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney, for crying out loud.
I know.
Dick Cheney and Bernie Sanders are supporting the same candidate for president this year, and it's not the Republican, right? It's Kamala Harris.
Oh, I found this snowball in hell. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, our guest is Joe Zepecki, political consultant. He joins us occasionally when he's got time. You've been running around doing lots of things, Joe. It's interesting, just briefly, on the unpopularity of Project 2025. What I think is important for folks to remember is it doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump, that this is the Republican plan.
Yeah.
This isn't just Trump's plan. This is the Republican plan for the country. So no matter which Republican administration gets elected next, they're going to implement Project 2025. I think it's important that folks realize that.
Yeah, and so in a lot of formats, it's very difficult to really explain this to folks. And your program is exactly the kind of one that is a place to do that. So if I could for just a moment, it kind of doesn't matter what Donald Trump says about Project 2025. It doesn't matter if he's read it or not. Him reading anything more than a couple of pages is kind of hard to imagine.
Yeah.
But what we do know is that the people who wrote it and the people who believe it are the vanishingly small number of Americans who will want to work in a second Trump administration and therefore will. All of the responsible, voices in the Republican Party, all of the sane and sober business leaders in this country who might consider it their duty to step, out of the corporate world and into government service for a while, they don't want anything to do with the chaos agent that is Donald Trump, with the legal quagmire that is a Trump presidency, and with all of the legal bills that go with that. And so these folks at the Heritage Foundation, the folks who have been found by the Heritage Foundation because they're building out a roster of political appointees.
Yep.
Every single one of them is on board for this. And part of what we struggle with when it comes to Donald Trump and how to talk about him is he wants to be portrayed as this strong man, as this tough guy. But he is as weak as the day is long. He is a small, small man who doesn't know what he's doing. And so he can get rolled. He got rolled by Putin. He got rolled by Kim Jong-un. And he can get rolled by the people from the Heritage Foundation when they come to him and say, hey, our folks over at FDA, they just want to make some minor policy and regulatory changes. You're good with that, right? Boy, you look good today, Mr. President. Man, that tie is great. Is that a new tie?
Yes.
And then he just goes, yeah, you got it. Whatever you want to do. And the next thing you know, mifepristone is not available anywhere in America. That is what people need to understand is the real threat here. It is that Project 2025 is the playbook. And whether or not Trump as president is calling the plays, those plays are going to be run.
Yeah. And I think it's important. We just had Dr. Mara Carlin on the show on Monday. She's with National Security Action. And we were talking about why it is dangerous to have someone who is so easily manipulated by flattery in a position in the Oval Office. That is so extraordinarily dangerous. All Putin, all Kim Jong-un, even Xi of China, all they have to do is tell Donald Trump how smart he is, and you're the best at this thing.
Yep.
I just admire you so much, and you got him. You got him.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we saw how easily Kamala Harris lured him into a trap. The way I likened that debate was how in the cartoons, the Roadrunner draws the fake tunnel on the side of the mountain, and then the coyote just slams into it. These were not particularly sophisticated traps she was guiding him around to. They were obvious attention, plays to get his attention elsewhere, and he fell for all of them. And so that's how easy it is to manipulate him. You can do it with flattery, or you can do it with just waving a shiny object in front of his face like crowd sizes. That's not leadership.
Another guest we had on, Andrew Watkins, who came from a Christian nationalist background and upbringing, also said that all they want is him up there as the puppet, as the guy to push the message, and they'll take care of everything else. And he's happy to be the show guy if he doesn't have to do any work. And it's all coming into play. They're all in the background. And this is not to, it's to freak you out, everybody. Read about this plan and you will see what will come to play.
And we're going to keep talking about this. Obviously, we got a couple of weeks left. We have National Security Leaders for America. Some of their members are going to be joining us over the next couple of weeks, too, to talk more about this. We've spent a fair amount of time talking about Project 2025, and I will keep saying this until my dying breath. Just imagine your least qualified cousin getting a high job in the FDA. That might be bad. We're going to continue our conversation with Joe Zepecki. So stay with us. You are listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the vast and global Civic Media Radio Network. good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Sweet Calby on the board, coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha. Join us at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that Jabba the Musk hates that we continue to call Twitter. Joe Zepecki is here. He's a political consultant and friend of the show. Joe, this is our new mascot. This is a Jabba the Musk that was made by Jeff from Shorewood and his friend. Scott. Why do I keep doing that? Scott from Shorewood and his friend made for us. So after several rounds of voting, Jabba the Musk was the name that was selected for the Matenaer On Air mascot. We also have a question for you, Joe, from a listener on the live stream. Jake says, can you ask Joe why the Dems who are running for the House, like Rebecca Cook, Peter Barca, and Kristin Lyerly, aren't pointing out that they are the only candidates who promised to certify the 2024 elections?
Well,
I
think
in their races.
Yeah, I don't. I can't speak for their campaigns, and I don't speak for their campaigns. My belief, based on my experience, is that they have consolidated all of the voters who care about that with 40 days to go. So that means people who could be persuaded by that argument have been persuaded and are already like filling out their absentee ballots and mailing them back. And that what they are seeing is that the people who are still trying to decide if they're going to vote or if they're not, or who they're going to vote for, not just for Congress, but for the U.S. Senate and for president, may care more about other issues. It is certainly an eternal frustration to us that this is not, like, that's not the end of the conversation, right? Like, if you are not for free and fair elections, do we really care what your preferred, taxation rate is, 29% versus 24%? To us, that's clear. But to voters who are making up their minds in these closing weeks, that's my belief, is that those campaigns are seeing something in the data that suggests they need to be talking more about women's reproductive freedoms, or how they can build a stronger middle class, and so on and so forth. But I share your frustration, Jake.
But that makes sense, Joe. Again, you like you said, 40 days left. You got to really focus down and narrow down your messaging to get to those who still have not made up their minds. In the few minutes that we have left, I do want to talk about Care Force One and just kind of contrast that with the former president's fantastic ideas on what he will do with Americans' health care should he get reelected. Calvin, let's play my favorite clip.
Yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
In 2 weeks. I know it's coming in 2 weeks.
You don't get it because I'm not president yet.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you yet. So let's contrast that with the Harris campaign and Care Force One. What is that about?
This man's been running for president or been a former president for 9 years. And the whole time has wanted to repeal and replace, so he would say, Obamacare. Mm-hmm. And he still hasn't come up with what he wants to replace it with. No. Again, talk about disqualifying. So yesterday, Care Force One, which is this big giant bus with national healthcare advocates on it, rolled through the great state of Wisconsin. It was day 2 of a 6-week journey. Care Force One will travel about 12,000 miles.
Wow.
That's, 4 times back and forth across the country, hit 17 states. And really, it's about celebrating the progress that we've made under the Biden-Harris administration. The Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare as it's referred to, was the most significant health reform bill in decades. And the Inflation Reduction Act, passed 2 years ago last month, was the most significant healthcare reform legislation since the Affordable Care Act. And already Wisconsinites are benefiting from it. Seniors on Medicare can get free vaccines for things like shingles or DTaP right now, today. That's real savings for like a husband and wife who need the shingles vaccine, which is 2 rounds, $200 a pop. That's $800 that they no longer have to worry about. That's and can huge. Use to maybe spoil the grandkids. Seniors on Medicare no longer can be charged more than $35 a month out of pocket for their insulin costs. That's a huge deal. And there's more savings on the way. As of January 1, 2025, Seniors on Medicare, their out-of-pocket prescription drug costs will be capped at $2,000 annually. We are about to sort of see go into effect the results of that first round of negotiation between Medicare and the drug companies. For 30 years, the federal government was banned from using its bulk purchasing power to negotiate for lower drug costs. Think about that. It's insane. You and I can go to Costco or Sam's Club and use the concept of bulk purchasing power to pay a lower unit price, but the federal government was prohibited from doing that when it came to prescription drugs.
And
that
whose
is now changing.
Whose idea was that? Who thought
the drug companies?
Oh, yes, of course. That makes sense.
The drug companies who, by the way, in the second quarter of this year had $22 billion in profits over the course of 90 days this year. So they're doing just fine. And
no, Joe, there's no money for R&D. There's just no money for R&D.
How could they possibly? They're all headed to the poorhouse. And so we had great speakers yesterday, ranging from Attorney General Call and Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson, and people who are taking these drugs and benefiting from these savings. It was a great reminder that we don't have to just talk about how bad the other guys are. The Biden-Harris administration and Democrats in Congress have done some really good things.
Political consultant and friend of the show. Always a delight to have you here. We'd love to have you back when you have time. Joe Zepecki, thank you for joining us. News is next. And then go for the green and gold statewide text to win contest. Stay here. Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
See you guys. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our studio in sunny downtown Waukesha, Wisconsin. You can always join us. You can call, you can text. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Joining us at 11:33, Dr. Kristin Lyerly stepping in for Dr. Laura Hanks. Dr. Hanks is on a trip, and so Dr. Lyerly, who's also a candidate for the 8th Congressional District, is going to be joining us at 11:33, and we will wrap up the show with her and our new regular segment, This Shouldn't Be a Thing, today from the world of beauty.
Okay, that's being generous.
It should be good. All right. It's time.
What time is it?
It's time to go for the green and gold. Statewide text to win contest. All right, here's the word you need to text right now until noon via the Civic Media app. The word is chain. 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 This hour we're playing for gold jewelry.
Ooh.
I know. Chain is the word CHAIN. Text that in via the Civic Media app to whatever station you're listening to across the Civic Media radio network. Everyone will be in the drawing for a pair of indoor club level tickets to see the green and gold in Green Bay, Monday, December 23rd against New Orleans. That would be a pretty nice Christmas gift.
That would be an amazing Christmas gift.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah. If folks are hearing us in Green Bay right now, come on.
Oh, yeah. Well, anywhere.
Anywhere, but still, come on.
And if you've never been to Green Bay and seen a game, it's something.
It is beautiful. It's an experience, whether you like the sport or not. I think it's something, if you have the chance to do, you should do it.
Text that word in, chain, CHAIN, in our Go for the Green or Gold statewide text to win contest during our all-staff meeting yesterday, guys. That rascally Todd Alba is in the lead.
Talk about stealing an election. Talk about stealing votes.
It was not rigged last time. I lost fair and square. But now, Dominic Salvia is right on our tail.
This is okay. Can I just say something, Jane?
If you must.
Okay. Ouch.
Go ahead.
When we approached this latest contest, we approached it with an open mind, open heart, open everything. We didn't try to contest with people. We said, hey, you know what? Fair and square. Todd got us by a couple of votes, but we still got a lot of people interested, hearing about us, downloading the app, entering to win. So this time we're like, hey, let's just have fun. No worries. But now I feel like to hear the numbers.
I know.
And it's like, oh, Todd's beating you. Okay,
and
thanks.
he's got a big lead.
Okay, ouch.
He does.
And then they're like, oh, here comes Don. Don't turn me into my worst version. Don't turn me into Bowling Greg, which is a hyper-competitive, very unlikable person to be around.
Chain is the word. This hour, CHAIN. Chain is the word. Please enter.
Please, sir. Please enter the contest.
Otherwise, this time, last time we did try to hire Michael Gableman, but he was to investigate the results, but he was tied up with something else. So
he was counting his millions.
He was counting his millions. Anyway, chain is the word this hour. CHAIN. Good luck, everybody. Your next chance with that rascally Todd Alba in the 1 o'clock hour, and then with Dom at 4 p.m. So keep it right here on the Civic Media Radio Network. Wanted to start off this hour with talking about America's freedoms. And one of the most crucial freedoms we have is the freedom of expression.
Yes.
And the ability to criticize the government.
Yes.
And criticize our elected officials. Because in countries like North Korea, you go to jail for that.
Yeah.
You can't say anything about his looks or his policies or anything like that. That's what authoritarian regimes do.
Yeah.
They crush all dissent and certainly any criticism that they don't like. And that is one of the wonderful, incredible, magical things that sets America apart, right?
Yeah, it was so important to the people who founded this country that they made the number one thing on the document.
Yeah. The important document.
The important document.
Yeah.
The one people like to talk about a lot, especially that Second Amendment. There's one before that.
There is one before that.
Yeah, it's about exactly what you're talking about. Freedom of expression, freedom of speech.
Yes. Being able to criticize people in elected office and those who are also, say, appointed by an elected official. Apparently, though, not everyone agrees with Americans' right to free speech. Calvin, let's play that clip from Donald Trump.
They were very brave, the Supreme Court, very brave, and they take a lot of hits because of it. It should be illegal what happens. You know, you have these guys like playing the ref, like the great Bobby Knight. These people should be put in jail the way they talk about our judges and our justices.
People should be put in jail for the way they talk about our judges and our justices. They should be put in jail, guys.
Yeah. I mean,
except for Donald Trump, he does a lot of criticizing of judges.
Oh, anyone
lots and lots and lots.
And let's also be clear here. He doesn't do a lot of like deep-seated like criticism. It's not constructive criticism.
No.
It's making fun of their families. It's making fun of their culture. It's saying you shouldn't be allowed to do this because it hurts me.
Makes me look bad.
It's okay when he does it.
Yes.
But not when we do it. We should go to jail if we tell you something like maybe, you know, the Supreme Court is currently probably more corrupt than it's ever been in its entire existence. Oops. Did I just say that?
You did. You said it out loud.
Guys,
too.
I'm going to jail. Sorry. I'll see you later.
This is more of a light comment, bringing some levity to it. But he said playing the ref like Bobby Knight. Bob Knight, of course, is a iconic basketball coach, not a referee.
Yes. Also, was he in Indiana when he said this?
No, I'm not sure where he was. This was from a rally, though, he held on Monday. Bobby Knight, by the way, what I remember about Bobby Knight, yeah, he was a very winning coach. He also had extraordinary temper issues. He used to throw chairs across the court, right, Calvin?
Yes, that is what he is. That is the part that makes him iconic. Even though he was very successful, the icon part is how he would lose his cool.
Yeah, he would lose his mind. And Trump likes to bring up Bobby Knight.
He would scream at his players. He would scream at refs. He is not an example. He's an example of a winning coach, but not as a person to model your behavior off of.
No, but I would think not. And what's also interesting now as to why we might have reasons to criticize the Supreme Court. There's an article in Reuters from yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. Supreme Court justices and federal judges on lower courts no longer have to publicly disclose when they dine or stay at someone's personal residence, even if it's owned by a business entity under revised ethics rules. The committee has been reviewing allegations about Justice Clarence Thomas, who improperly failed to report lots of gifts, including luxury travel, from Texas businessman, Republican donor Harlan Crow. Donald Sherman, chief counsel for the group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, says they might as well call this the Clarence Thomas exemption. Pretty much.
I mean, if the mobile home fits.
Right? I think we should have the right to criticize these people and not go to jail for it.
You know what, Jane? We do have the right, period.
Today we do.
Today we do. And you know what? Tomorrow we will. And even if he tries to do something, we always will, because we have the human right to do it. I'll go to jail happily if this happens, because I'm sorry. This is where I get really angry, because you're just going to sit there and go, oh, you should go to jail for criticizing the Supreme Court. What? Since when have they been such a fragile body? Since when have they been? Because before this, I mean, people had their opinions, but not since the past 2 years, 3 years. Have they been so controversial? I mean, just yesterday they denied the death. They denied a pardon or a certiorari for Marcellus Williams, who everyone said should not be on death row.
Even the victim's family.
The victim's family. The prosecutors, 6-3. You're telling me you really poured over that evidence, Supreme Court?
855-752-4842. Should we be able to criticize the Supreme Court? Should we be able to criticize elected officials? 855-752-4842.
And if you disagree, why?
Yeah, love to hear why. Mark from Prairie du Sac is on the line. Good morning, Mark. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. I can't remember the year. Very late 19th century, or very late 18th century, very, very early 19th century, the Alien Sedition Act that President John Adams was upset with the criticism he was getting, so he was jailing people that were criticizing him in the papers of the day. And this is just an absolute violation of our freedom of speech. We absolutely have the right, because that was one of the beefs in our Constitution, in our Declaration of Independence, that because basically, if you read the Declaration of Independence, it's an indictment against the King of England and the English government on suppressing the rights people thought they had as English citizens of the time, that to actually be able to have courts that were responsive to the people rather than to whatever the current king decided he wanted to be. It is just these conservatives that claim, well, we're strict textualists and we're going back and looking at history. They wouldn't know history if it bit them on the ass.
You wonder sometimes, Mark. Thank you for calling. Always thank you for listening. Really appreciate it. Jean from Eau Claire is on the line. Good morning, Jean. Thank you for joining us. What do you think about this?
I think it's ludicrous, and I think it is our personal responsibility to call out these things when we see them. That's our job. They work for us. We don't follow them. We do not bow to a king, and anybody that does got to have their head examined. People need to wake up. This is just disgusting. It's like chaos and delusion, and we need to get our sanity back, folks, because they work for us. We are the people, and this is our country, but it's also our responsibility to call out their behaviors when it's against democracy and it's against the people of the United States. So thank you guys for the work you're doing. I'll join you in jail any day.
Thanks,
have a
Jean.
great day and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Jean. We really, really appreciate it. If you want to join in on this, 855-752-4842. We do have to go to break, but we will return. Chain is the word, by the way. Text in the word chain, CHAIN, via the Civic Media app to get in the running for Go for the Green or Gold statewide text to win contest. You're listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the Civic Media Radio Network.
Chain, chain, chain.
Good morning and welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and the Calvinator on the board, coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha. Join the conversation, call or text, or leave a message on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that Jabba the Musk continues to actively ruin. It's our Go for the Green or Gold statewide text to win contest. You have until noon via the Civic Media app to text the word chain, 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 not chin. I saw that come through. That's not going to get you anything.
No.
The word is chain, CHAIN. This hour, we're playing for gold jewelry.
Ooh.
I know. And then everyone in the running for those tickets to watch the green and gold on Monday, December 23rd.
And do not forget, when you enter, if you haven't already, you will get a response back from Civic Media giving you another chance to enter into the contest. So follow the prompts. Fill out whatever it is. I know.
Sign up for the newsletter.
Exactly. You can sign up for newsletters. It's basically just allowing you another opportunity to enter into the contest. So yeah, two chances.
Just you only get to do that once, though.
One chance at two chances.
One chance at two chances. Chain is the word CHAIN. Before we went to break, we were talking about Donald Trump said on Monday that anyone who criticizes the Supreme Court or any other justices should go to jail. So we're talking about whether or not the freedom of speech is important to you. Is that a freedom that is important? And should we be allowed to criticize these people? I say yes.
I say mark the day that we are asking this question.
Lama from Madison texting in, listening on WMDX. The right to complain, I'll say, is a given and begins at birth.
And I want to say something about Jean from Eau Claire, correct? Jean from Eau Claire called earlier and said something very important. Not that she would just spend time in jail with me. I'll go to jail. But also that we have to criticize these individuals. They have to be ripe for criticism, especially the Supreme Court. You don't like a congressperson? Work to get them in or out of office. Do your thing with that. But this is a group of people, 9 individuals who do not answer to us as the voters.
Or anyone.
To anyone. They are appointed for life. They are basically shielded from all sorts of shenanigans, because as we're seeing right now, and when we start saying something, they change the rules in their favor. So now has never been a better time to do this.
To speak up.
To speak up. And anyone, I don't care if it's Donald Trump, I don't care if it's God Almighty or your mom, you have the right to speak your mind.
Liz from Some Prairie, listening on WMDX, even asking this question. This shouldn't be a thing.
Yep.
Jane, and you're absolutely right, Liz. This should not be a discussion we're having. Tom from LA saying, if Trump gets in, you will be going to jail. As a gay man, I'm already thinking I'll be in a camp. And anyone that cares about their children, their grandchildren who happen to be gay, now's the time to stand up for the LGBTQ plus community, not after the election when it's going to be too late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really, this should not be a thing.
No,
this shouldn't be a thing. We shouldn't. And detractors and deniers and apologists and all the likes, people who are listening right now who are like, you're making a bigger deal out of it than you think. No, when you say something like that, you should go to jail for criticizing the Supreme Court. No, because honestly, if I was to say, we should ban all guns, you would lose your mind, and you wouldn't. And even if I was saying it in jest, which I would be saying in jest, because I don't believe in banning all guns. But we are taking this seriously, because it's a serious statement said by a former president who wants the job back and has made it very clear he's going to reconfigure this country in his image.
Absolutely. And please don't think that you would never be the one who is getting targeted.
No.
Because those goalposts move.
Yep.
You might be in the inner circle today and say something or criticize someone that shoves you out of that circle, and then you're next.
Look at the laundry list of people who were his favorite, great, good, best people. They're now sitting on the sidelines endorsing the other person or saying what happened or leaving the party. I mean, the list is long.
40 out of 44 of his former administration officials say he should not be anywhere near the Oval Office again.
Dick Cheney is voting for Kamala Harris
and Bernie Sanders.
So here's the other question I have, and we can discuss this another time, but GOP members, Republicans, not Trump followers. This is for the GOP members and the Republicans out there. Don't you think you deserve better? Don't you think you deserve someone who is representative of the values that you have touted for decade upon decade? The bootstraps, the hard work, personal responsibility, the values of faith, the values of family, the values of life. You are being misrepresented and led down a bad road. Because as Jane just said, you might like him now, but you might not like him enough in 6 months. Not because you think differently, because they think differently.
The goalposts will move.
Every time.
The goalposts will move.
Look at the Supreme Court.
Be nice. Be nice. No, we're not going to do that.
Man, they really look good in those robes, and they're idiots.
Clarence, that black makes you look so much thinner.
Oh, I know.
That nice black robe.
That tie is so slimming.
Very flattering on you. It's very, very flattering. Yeah. We were to talk about Alex Jones. That can wait until tomorrow. Boo-hoo, boy.
He's definitely a thing.
Boo-hoo, baby boy. Alex Jones is going to have some money problems, but we are running out of time.
Yeah.
When we return, Dr. Kristin Lyerly will be here for public Cervix announcement. She's pinch hitting for Dr. Laura Hanks, who's on the road today doing medical things, as she tends to do. If you ever have a question for public Cervix announcement, any question, suggestions, guest ideas, something going on in your community that you would like to get highlighted, send us an email.
Yeah.
Jane Says, JANESAYS, Jane Says at civicmedia.us. And also your thing that should not be a thing.
Absolutely. We've used your suggestions before. We've reached out to guests based on your ideas. And we want to keep doing that. This is our show, but it's your show too. So reach out to us.
Nicely said.
Thank you.
News is next. Stay close. Text the word chain, CHAIN, on the app before noon. You're listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calviente on the board. Coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha. You can always call or text. It's the same number, or leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Nice bumper music there, Calvin. The word this hour in the Go for the Green or Gold statewide text to win contest. The word is chain, CHAIN. Text the word chain via the Civic Media app, and you are in the running this hour for some lovely gold jewelry. And everyone in the running for the grand prize that will be announced, I believe, Friday when everything wraps up, Friday or Monday when everything wraps up. The grand prize, a pair of indoor club level tickets to see the green and gold in Green Bay, Monday, December 23rd against New Orleans. The word this hour, chain, CHAIN. Very excited to have our friend and candidate for the 8th Congressional District, Dr. Kristin Lyerly, is here pinch hitting for Dr. Laura Hanks, who's on the road today. Dr. Lyerly, how are you? Thank you for making time for us.
Hello, my friends. I am no Laura Hanks, as you have come to discover, because she is so brilliant and funny and wonderful, but I'll do my best.
You do a fine job. I've spoken to you a couple times. You do a passable job, Dr. Lyerly.
I think you're fantastic.
We're gonna lighten things up in the last segment for our new regular segment called "This Shouldn't Be a Thing," Dr. Lyerly, and this today's is from the world of beauty. So that's coming up around 11:51. Stick around for that. I did want to start with something much more serious, though. That makes me very, very angry, and it shouldn't be a surprise about the ramifications now since Roe has been overturned, and what this means on the ground. And there is a story that came out just over the last couple of days about Amari Marsh in South Carolina who had a miscarriage, and she was jailed for 22 days and held without bond because they charged her with murder. They were going to charge her with murder because she lost her child. This is happening especially in southern states. It is affecting primarily lower income women and women of color. And some of the allegations are that you used drugs during your pregnancy and therefore led to the death of the fetus, even though in this case that was never proven. So she spent 22 days in jail after having a miscarriage. It's shocking.
Let's not forget the woman in Ohio who had a very traumatic miscarriage in her toilet. After she was sent home from the hospital because they wouldn't do anything to help her, she had a traumatic miscarriage in her toilet. When she went back for help, they sent the police to her house. They dismantled her toilet looking for evidence, and they were prosecuting her. Luckily, it didn't go anywhere, but the stress and the horror and the just absolute wrongness of prosecuting women for their pregnancies it's so hard to believe that this is the world that we live in right now. But as this report shows us, this is the world that we live in right now.
Yes,
and
it is.
It gives us that much more fire to have to fight back.
If you have a daughter or a granddaughter or your wife or your sister were in this situation and she lost a pregnancy and then got charged for losing that pregnancy, how would you feel about that? Would you feel that that's justified? You think she should go to jail?
I'm so
Really?
glad you mentioned that, Jane, because this isn't just about these women who are obviously suffering and very vulnerable, but what we need, and I'm talking to all of you out there as an OBGYN doctor who takes care of these people who are dealing with these horrific situations. We need you to step up. We need you to say this is not right, because if it's just us, that's not going to get us over the line.
No.
When it's the people who love us, who are willing to say, no, we're not going to do this anymore, that is how we are going to win this and right this ship. We just can't continue on this path.
I know there are many, many men who love women, and they love their wives and their sisters and their mothers and their daughters, and they even might have friends that they love who are women. I know you're there. And as you said, Dr. Lyerly, Now's the time we really need you to step up for us. We
Mhm.
do.
Yeah, we all need to step up for each other. I don't
I
know
want
what to say about this. It's just so terrible.
Well, I want to say, like, it shouldn't. I mean, I understand the sentiment. I understand what you're saying, Jane. But men out there, it shouldn't take your mom, your wife, your sister, your daughter, your friends to just care about basic human decency, human rights, access to healthcare. Because as we mentioned before, they're going to take away this right. They already have, and they're going to squeeze it more and more as much as they can. What's the next thing they take away from us that might affect you guys? What is that thing? Who knows? But if they're going to start here, that doesn't mean they're going to stop anywhere. So this is not about looking out for your kid or your mom. It's about, what do you want for the world around you and for yourself too? I just, and frankly, what we were talking about earlier about JD Vance knowing the reason why people weren't having kids because of car seat restriction laws. I think less women are going to want to have kids because they're afraid of things like this happening to them in America.
And what really makes me crazy is Senator Patty Murray, who's from Washington State. She posted this on Twitter last night. I offered a resolution to simply say, quote, yes, women have a right to get abortion care when their life is at stake, unquote. Senate Republicans blocked it.
What,
All it
really?
said, this is from Senator Patty Murray from Washington State. I offered a resolution to simply say, yes, women have a right to get abortion care when their life is at stake, and Senate Republicans blocked it.
Well, Jane, you know what the problem was with that resolution? That she started it with women have a right. I mean, that's right there. Boom.
I mean, you might as well say women are people while you're at it. This is just laughable.
Silly, silly me.
Yeah.
Silly, silly me. And then we have Ohio Republican Senate candidate Bernie Moreno is now getting criticized. He is running at a town hall last Friday. Mr. Moreno pointed out that so many suburban women are single issue voters when it comes to abortion. And he said, listen, abortion is it. If I can't have an abortion in this country whenever I want, I will vote for anybody else. Okay, it's a little crazy, by the way, but especially for women that are like past 50, I'm thinking to myself, I don't think that's an issue for you.
I see this all the time as comments on my social media. You are a one-issue candidate. You can't just talk about abortion. And of course, I talk about everything. But, you know, the people who say this tend to be older white men because they don't really understand. And maybe part of that is because we are not helping them understand, or maybe because they are not open to understanding and people are not sharing their stories with them. But this is not a one-issue thing. This is not about, I might need an abortion in the future. This is a canary in a coal mine for everything else that women are able to achieve, including affordable housing, childcare, education, a life. So this is not just about, I might need an abortion sometimes. It is about everything in our lives.
I'm 64 years old. This shouldn't matter to me, apparently. I shouldn't care about my nieces or my great nieces or my girlfriend's grandkids. It just shouldn't matter. You're on your own, kid. I don't need this service anymore, so I don't care.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Jane. Now I'm here as the white man of residence to talk about the importance of why women should just listen to the lawmakers. I mean, that's just, it's ridiculous to say out loud, and I mean it in jest, but that is essentially the message they're pushing. And, you know, you talked about access to healthcare and opportunity, but I push that to we all want that. We all want access to these opportunities, getting a house, education, being able to afford having a family, afford having anything nowadays. I don't even like to say out loud to strangers that I have a house because I almost feel like it's a brag because it's so hard to do now. These issues, as you've said before, over and over, Dr. Lyerly, these are not just women's issues. These are human issues. They affect everyone. And the sooner you get on that, the better off you're going to be.
Can we take it to small business and financial issues? Because I don't know if you've had this conversation with people, but I definitely have talked with young people, couples, men and women, who say, I'm not comfortable living here because I'm afraid that I might have a pregnancy complication and that it could ruin my life. So we are literally driving young people out of states when we have abortion bans and when we attempt to criminalize medical care.
Not to mention doctors. We are discouraging people from going into medicine. They don't want to practice in some states where they cannot practice the entire spectrum of medical care, of which abortion care is a part.
And it's not just OBGYN doctors. The data is showing that in states with abortion bans, all doctors, cardiologists, orthopedic surgeons, they are not going to those states because of the chilling effect of political interference in the practice of medicine.
And why should it just stop here? We had a great text from John in Madison listening on WMDX. What happens when they decide insulin is ungodly? I mean, we don't know. We don't know what could be coming next.
I mean, there was a group. It was a very Christian group. They're against IVF because you have to apparently use porn as part of it for the process, and they're against porn because that's anti-family. That's how they're going to take it now. They're going to take every little bit and piece to make it what you're talking about, Jane. Is like it's changing the goalposts.
Yes,
IVF 6 months ago was like, of course, yes, and then people just started chipped away. Council of Baptist Ministers said, nope, we don't like it. This group said no, and now everyone's like, well, we're not sure about how safe and good is IVF. I don't know. Ask the Republican congressmen and senators who have used it or children have used it.
Yeah, that's a good
Ron
point.
Johnson? Ron Johnson's grandkids are IVF kids. Mike Pence's kids are IVF kids. And, you know, talk to a couple who's struggling with fertility issues. Talk to them about what it means to them to be able to start their family. These are very difficult journeys that I talk with people about this every single day. And it is so profoundly hard when the government then puts their nose into their personal family issues. It is unconscionable.
And the other, going back to this Bernie Moreno in Ohio, who is running for the Senate, basically saying suburban women, I don't care. I don't understand why you care about abortion access, especially if you're over 50. It doesn't matter to you. And then, of course, he tried to walk it back now that this has come to the forefront. And he said, it's just a joke. Women know what that means, right, Dr. Lyerly? When a man says, I was just joking, where's your sense of humor? It was just a joke. No, it wasn't a joke.
No.
You got called on it, and now you have to back up.
Keep talking, Bernie. Keep talking.
It's easier. It's more protective for himself to do that than actually apologize, which they don't do anymore. Or they apologize with a caveat. I'm sorry if my words hurt your feelings.
Yeah, J.D. Vance apologized to cats.
Yeah.
He didn't apologize to women. He apologized to cats and said, I have nothing against cats.
J.D. Vance is going to ruin Saturday Night Live because he just mocked himself so much. They've got nowhere to go with this material. They almost have to go like serious with it.
It will be interesting to see.
This Saturday.
Yeah, this Saturday. It'll be interesting to see what they do. We are here with Dr. Kristin Lyerly in for Dr. Laura Hanks. It's public service announcement. As we've mentioned, if you ever have a medical question you would like us to talk about, send it in to Jane Says, JANESAYS, Jane Says at civicmedia.us. When we return, this shouldn't be a thing, beauty edition. And you still have time to text the word via the Civic Media app. Text the word chain, CHAIN. Text the word chain until noon to be in our Go for the Green or Gold statewide text to win contest. Stay close. You're listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the Civic Media Global Radio Network. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Sweet Kelby on the board, coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha. Call, text, leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. We are joined by our friend, Dr. Kristin Lyerly, also a candidate for the 8th Congressional District in Wisconsin. We were talking before the break, Dr. Lyerly, about Bernie Moreno from Ohio, who is running as a Republican in Ohio for the Senate, and basically saying at a rally that he doesn't understand why suburban women care about abortion, especially if you're over 50, because, it's not important to you. We did have a couple texts come in. Kristin Seingal here. I may not have a uterus anymore, but I've got a brain. It begins with one thing and then it snowballs. Love ya, from Lorianne in Green Bay. Carol from Madison. I donated to Dr. Lyerly's campaign. Go get him. John from Oshkosh. I love seeing the Dr. Lyerly signs around the Fox Valley.
They're everywhere. It's so good. Yeah. You know what I love, though? I love being able to be a doctor. Like, here I am in my office, taking some time off to chat with you today, sitting with patients, helping them solve problems and filling my bucket so I can take their stories and help solve those problems on a higher level. That's the thing that drives this whole congressional thing. I'm not a politician. I don't get into all of this, tricky language and crazy words. And I say this one day and that another day. No, I am just trying to be like a doctor, but for the country.
Ooh.
That's good.
I like
That's good. That should go on a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that belongs on a t-shirt.
Let's put this doctor in the house. How about that?
Oh, even better. Let's get going on those signs, people. Let's get some homemade signs going. Sponsored by Matenaer On Air.
Now my brain's just going everywhere for this. It's like I have like 40 suggestions.
All right, our time is running out. It's 11:53, which means it is time for
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
Our new regular segment, the way we close out the show now every day. This shouldn't be a thing. And if you ever have a thing that should not be a thing, email it to janesays@civicmedia.us. This should not be a thing comes from the world of beauty. On TikTok.
It's always TikTok.
They're called crunchers.
No.
Soil connoisseurs across the internet are proudly promoting the wellness and beauty benefits of eating dirt.
Well, folks, it's been fun. I'm going to go now. I'm taking my job of the Musk. I named him, so therefore I'm out of here.
I understand, like mud packs on your face and that kind of stuff for your skin. Eating dirt seems not like a good idea. Or am I missing something, Dr. Lyerly?
Eating dirt in traditional medicine is actually a condition called pica. We see this not uncommonly in pregnant women. When I was working in Georgia, we would see it a lot where people would come in eating clay because they craved it, because they had a nutritional deficiency. Often it's iron. They were anemic. So eating dirt is, if you have a craving to eat dirt, you should definitely go talk to your doctor because there's probably something going on there. There is no evidence behind dirt being good for you. There are other things that you can eat that provide you with probiotics and other positive things that will help your body clear its, like fiber and keep your GI tract healthy. But please don't eat dirt.
Ground gourmands, according to the New York Post, can buy edible land online on Amazon and Etsy. Sacks of dirt can range in costs from $11 to $27, depending on quality and quantity.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. We talked about this yesterday with pickleball. We're going to talk about it today. Dirt is dirt. You go to the Steins, you go to Menards, you go wherever you like to buy your dirt. The dirt should be like $5.
It's not true.
Be in your backyard.
Dirt is not dirt?
Dirt is not dirt. Dirt is not dirt.
Oh, God.
Okay, I'm also a master gardener, and I'm here to tell you
Of course
that
you are.
that all dirt is not the same. There's actually some incredible technology coming out of Europe where they can listen to the dirt and they can hear the activity that's happening. And the more activity they can hear, the healthier your dirt is, and the more likely it is to be able to produce food. But I can also tell you, as the mom of 4 boys, a little bit of dirt won't kill you.
Oh,
They've eaten their share. Sorry,
It's good.
guys.
Yeah, that happens with kids. But as a beauty regime and as part of your regular health regime, don't eat dirt. Not the right way to go.
Please don't. No.
and that's how you know you can trust her as a person running for office. A lot of politicians will be like, I don't know. We'll just have to wait until the science gets back to us. I don't want to. And here we are, Dr. Lyerly. Don't do it.
Don't eat dirt.
You just said politicians pay attention to science. That was funny.
You're right. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot.
That does it for today's rendition of
This shouldn't be a thing.
Send them in to Jane Says at civicmedia.us. You have just a couple of minutes left to text the word CHAIN, CHAIN. Text the word CHAIN via the Civic Media app to be in the running for some gold this hour. It's our Go for the Green or Gold statewide text to win contest. Everyone in the drawing for the grand prize. Dr. Kristin Lyerly, thank you so much. Have fun out on the road. We'll talk to you
Love
soon.
hanging out with you guys. Thank you.
News is coming up. Thank you, Greg and Calvin, and all of our engineers. Without you, nothing works. Thank you most of all for calling and for texting and for listening. It means the world. I hope you find some joy today and you have the chance to share it. Keep it right here on the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll see you tomorrow.